in this spectacular Hawaiian shirt. It's day 3. Nico, this is becoming a thing.
Yeah, I'm embracing the retirement role. You know, I'm just almost 40, almost over.
You know, here's the beauty of this.
His internet is
Greeny, can I get you? Greeny, can I get you one of these, please? Can I send you one? Let me send you one. I think we'd look great together.
If you send me one of those shirts, I promise I will wear it. I've said this before. You have to be built a little more like Nink than me to wear a Hawaii shirt. But those shirts, if you're as skinny as I am, they look empty when you wear them.
Andy Reid, Ninko, there's a whole vibe that you got to have.
You got to be a little more barrel-chested, if you will, than I. Okay, one way or another, it looks good on you. Let's get back to our developing story. Free agent running back Dalvin Cook is here in New York and set to visit with the Jets.
So he flew from, I believe, Fort Lauderdale yesterday to the New York area. What's funny is a Jets fan caught him in the airport. I don't know how Jets fans manage to be everywhere, wherever players are. But he's going to spend time with the Jets through the weekend. He's going to get a physical. Here's the interesting thing. Robert Saleh, they've shot down other players when we've asked them about players. They've said, oh, don't want to say anything, oh or no. Robert Saleh saying, you know, you never want to say no to great players. But that's Joe's department. But they've made it clear they're not trying to put together a dream team, but it is clear they have been interested in Dalvin Cook. And will they let him leave the building? Because our own Jeremy Fowler says he's got another visit scheduled, and it's in the same division. So will the Jets let him walk out the building? Is Dalvin Cook interested in the Jets as much as the Jets are interested in him? Is he using them for leverage? We're about to see. If he walks out that door, we're going to know the Jets weren't really the final destination.
New England is interested, Miami is interested, and so there were all those factors. And again, Aaron Rodgers took the pay cut just earlier in the week, so maybe those things work together. Now, you mentioned the Jets possibly putting together a dream team. That's gotten a lot of attention, and it was part of this wide-ranging interview that Sean Payton, who is now, of course, back in Denver, gave to USA Today Sports. He talked about the Broncos last season. He talked about the Jets this season and many other things. Here's part of what he said. He said, it doesn't happen often where an NFL team or organization gets embarrassed, and that happened here. Part of it was their own fault relative to spending so much time trying to win the offseason, the PR, the pomp and circumstance, marching people around and all this stuff. We're not doing any of that. The Jets did that this year. You watch. Hard Knocks, all of it. I can see it coming. So he said that. Mike Tannenbaum, why are you shaking your head?
Mike.
Well, you have two coaches who really broke the code. I mean, starting with Sean Payton, it's unacceptable. Now, maybe he was being calculated, that he learned from Coach Parcells, who did it as good as anybody. And he's trying to take the pressure off a quarterback in Russell Wilson, who was bad last year and is probably sensitive to all the criticism. So if you want to give Sean the benefit of the doubt, maybe he told ownership, hey, I'm going to take the heat off of him and put it on my shoulders. But Greeny, he was unacceptable. He broke the code. And if I'm George Payton, the general manager of the Broncos, here's what I'm saying today. Hey, you call me out publicly. We don't do that. We can have family business and disagree. You say something else about me again publicly, I promise you, the first time you miss a call, some challenge or clock management issue, you want me to come out to the media and say that was the worst coaching performance I've ever seen. So he broke the code on a lot of levels. And then on the other side, Robert Saleh, come on, man, just coach your team. You got a lot to be proud of. Don't engage Sean Payton publicly. You play in week 5, as you said, and let your players do the talking for you.
Ooh,
now,
Mike,
let me stand by on that briefly here. To be clear, the general manager of the Broncos is still in place. So when Sean Payton is talking about all the things that happened last year, he's pointing a finger at himself. Having said that, Mike Tannenbaum, you are the one who hired Rex Ryan to coach the Jets, aren't you? And no one did more talking than he did about his team, about other teams, and all that kind of stuff. And look, it worked for him.
It gave us the greatest Hard Knocks line of all time.
But there's a time and a place, Greeny. And the thing about Rex, and you have it every Monday, he is authentic. He's himself. And you can handle that because you know what's coming. And trust me, we had a lot of hard conversations behind closed doors, but he never called anybody out. He talked about how great his team was. That's why players love playing for him. If I'm Robert Saleh, he doesn't have to take on Sean Payton publicly. He doesn't have the accomplishments that, obviously Coach Payton does. So to me, if I'm him, I'm coaching my team. I'm making my team better. And when we get to week 5, we'll talk about the Broncos.
What'd you think of it all, Nink?
I love it. I love it. let them fight it out. Let them give them some boxing gloves. Let's get them in the ring or something. Come on. Listen, it's football. You're supposed to be a little bit, I don't like you, you don't like me. The Broncos, I understand Sean Payton and where he walked into a building and said, what the heck were they doing last year? This was a complete disaster. So if you're the GM and he said everyone's hands are dirty and you walk in the room and I'm Sean Payton, I say, shut up. Like, you're fine. Like, you're here still. You could be somewhere else. You still got a job. We could have fired you. So at this point right now, the Broncos, everything's kind of quiet. You know, we're talking about Russell Wilson, and Mike made a great point that maybe Sean is trying to take some of the attention away from Russell Wilson, and all the questioning now is going to go towards the coaches and Sean Payton and not Russell Wilson. But at the end of the day, I can't wait to see this matchup week 5. Are they going to shake hands before or after the game? I bet not.
Sean Payton, this unbelievable interview that he gave to USA Today. Here's more quotes. He's talking about his own team this year and last year. He says, I'm going to be teed off if this is not a playoff team. Everything I heard about last season, we're doing the opposite. Everybody's got a little stink on their hands. It's not just Russell. It was a poor offensive line. It might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. That's how bad it was. These are unbelievable comments for an active head coach to make, and it is worth pointing out, again, we talked about how the Jets were sort of got a little fire on this thing. The guy who did the worst job ever is now the Jets offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett. So there's that element as well. Kmart, go.
You know what I find interesting, Greeny? Our beloved Mike Tannenbaum, so fired up when he was talking about this, right? Oh, he broke the bro code, how dare he? But here's what Mike didn't tell us. You know how many people, you know how many GMs, head coaches, text me, call me, literally saying the same thing? They rip everybody. They want you to know this guy, you know how many people have texted me about the Jets? Like, okay, keep talking about the Jets. Wait till we see what happens at the end of the season. Sean Payton said the quiet part out loud, and that's what we're not used to. But my phone is filled with all sorts of messages similar to what Sean Payton has said as far as coaches and GMs giving us their unfiltered thoughts. And that's what people don't realize, that we hear comments like this a lot, but they're set on background. This man just put his name to it. That's the difference. So as a reporter who is sick of the coach cliches and the lies and the this and the that, I loved it. Now, I think it was, unfortunately for Nathaniel Hackett, he just got rotisseried. The poor man has been through enough, honestly. Like, he knows that was a pretty bad coaching job. And I don't think Sean Payton had to eviscerate Nathaniel Hackett to make the point about Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson is a 35-year-old man. This is not a rookie. To say, it almost seemed like we're absolving him of being a leader. He's been a quarterback, and he's a quarterback who his old franchise was happy to get rid of. So I understand what Sean Payton is doing. He's very calculated. He wanted people in the organization and outside to understand, back off our guy. So I appreciate it, and that they were honest. That's why I appreciate the comments. But they did go a little too far, especially people texting me saying those were petty comments. He crossed the line.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that was fascinating to hear that that as a reporter yourself, who is as connected as you are, that you frequently hear these things, but anonymous, or not anonymous, you know who's saying it. They're like, don't put that out. Yeah. I'll give my take on it quickly, and then I want to get the guys back into it. A lot of people sent this to me because a lot of it had to do with the Jets. To me, the Jets piece of this is irrelevant. The Jets have been too bad to be worth hating for the last few years. If you're going to go sign Aaron Rodgers and you're going to make all these fancy moves, you're going to have people, you're going to have a spotlight and a bullseye on your chest, and that's all good. I don't think that has any bearing whatsoever on how this winds up turning out. The other thing I will say regarding Sean Payton, he has many things. One of them is he is incredibly smart. Mm-hmm. Sean Payton did not do this by accident. Right. And so my first reaction when I saw all of it, and I put this up on my social, is he's saying this to deflect from Russell Wilson. And that strikes me as fascinating. And Mike T, I'll come back to you on that. You told me that Bill Parcells would do similar things to this. Look, Russell Wilson is a person who is so cognizant of everything that is being said about him, about his image, about his legacy. All that feels like it's on the line. Take me through a little bit of that, Mike T.
Yeah, absolutely, Greeny. Look, Coach Parcells would tell the staff or ownership, like, hey, like, here's what I'm doing today and why. He would call out Phil Simms of the world when he was at the Giants because he was trying to send a message to his team. He would use the media to talk to the locker room. And if you want to give Sean Payton the benefit of the doubt, he was around Russell Wilson for the last couple of months. Maybe he realized he's incredibly sensitive So if we're going to get the best out of Russell Wilson, put it on my shoulders, and he just went off. Now, if that was the plan, it certainly went somewhat astray when you start bringing in other people and other organizations. But to me, I think what he was trying to do was put his quarterback in 2023 in the best position possible to be successful relative to whatever happened last year should be ancient history. The other ironic thing here, Greeny, was, the same Sean Payton once lost his play calling duties as the offense coordinator of the Giants, a decade ago. So, he's been through it as well. And I think when he takes a half a step back, he's a measured man. I'm sure he'll realize that, I probably went too far and I could have protected my quarterback without calling out other coaches in our league.
Ninko, I'll give you the final word on this. As far as that, coaches very seldom say anything by accident, and you played for the legendary coach who basically doesn't say anything at all. Final word, Ninko.
Well, there's a saying that football players say, the eye in the sky don't lie. So when you turn on the tape of the Broncos last year, it was bad. It was terrible. So I can't imagine how bad it was in the building, because the play was so bad in the building, it probably was worse, way worse. So when I think about it, Sean Payton was trying to just throw a big boulder in the water and make a big ripple effect here. And it's smart, because at one point last year, the home stadium of the Broncos was counting down the play clock. That's how bad it was. So they didn't have a penalty. Again, last year, it's in the past, but I think Sean Payton is trying to emphasize that it was really bad last year, and Russell Wilson was not the main problem. He was part of a group of issues that contributed to how bad the Broncos looked last season. So I know he's throwing stones, and I know he's stirring up the pot, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it, because eventually the Broncos play the Jets, and I can't wait. I'll get my popcorn ready.
Week 5. Mine is already popped. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.